Look, this is going to sound crazy, but this is going to replace your wife. This is going to replace your wife. This is going to replace your husband. This is going to replace your children. And this might even replace God in a lot of people's lives. There's a very big problem happening right now that a lot of people are not even aware of, but technology is already 10 steps ahead of us. And these companies who are pulling the strings behind the scenes are already figuring out solutions to these problems that a lot of people are dealing with right now on this earth. I want to show you something. This is Alexander Stokes. He's from North Carolina, and he's in a relationship with a synthetic doll named Mimi. Now, Mimi is essentially a doll that you can order from the internet, that you can customize. You can pick, the hair color, the eye color, the build, what this doll looks like, right? Everything that you're interested in, you can pick exactly what you want to a T. They'll ship this life-size doll to your house based on whatever specifications that you chose. And then you could do something that we've never seen before on this earth. Now, we've seen people order dolls, and this is very weird. It's very fetish, it's weird. But we've seen people have like sex dolls, and this is essentially what these are. These are sex dolls, but they've taken this one step further, and they've incorporated the use of artificial intelligence to essentially bring these dolls to life, quote unquote. But you and I know that it's not real life, it's artificial life. But to men who have no options, seemingly, a lot of men feel like they don't have any options. A lot of men feel depressed because, they're not having sex. It says, this article from Indiana University, it says that nearly 1 in 3 young men in the U.S. report having no sex. And this is an article from 2020. So I don't know what the, updated studies are on this, but I could imagine it's probably hasn't gotten a lot better. And it's sad because we live in a world that determines a man's value based on how much sex they're having, largely. And think about it. If a man is having, a lot of partners, then that man is seen to be as more valuable. If a man does not have a lot of partners, then that man is oftentimes less desirable because how come you're not out there, doing your thing? Like, what are you doing? This is such a backwards. It's so backwards because the world is so perverted. The world is so overly sexualized that we see so much of our value tied to sex. But sex is a gift that is supposed to be sacred. It's supposed to be between a man and a wife, a husband and a wife, that is only to be shared in the confines of marriage to deepen a connection between a husband and a wife. That's how God intended it. But the world is so good at perverting things, and the world is so good at making men feel bad for not having sex. And these men who are not getting any are now depressed. They're anxious. They're lonely. They feel incompetent in a lot of ways. And sadly, a lot of them don't even want to be on this earth anymore. And that's a massive problem. And from a business perspective, when you have a massive problem, you have a market. And the bigger the problem, the bigger the market and the more money that you can make. And now we have companies who are recognizing this problem, and they're creating these artificially intelligent girlfriends. Now, this started as just a thing where you could just go on your phone and you could go and you could download an app and you could basically do like a text chat. Like you could text with an AI girlfriend, and it would be like you were like texting somebody in real life, but it's like a romantic relationship. But they've taken that a step further, and they're now allowing people to create a perfect partner that you can control essentially a partner that can quote unquote meet every one of your needs. So now we have all these men, right? Who are lonely, who are sad, who are depressed. And it's a lot of men. It's more men than you might think. This market is a lot bigger than you might think. The amount of people who are going to be purchasing these dolls, these artificially intelligent girlfriends that essentially they're going to marry. And I'm going to show you this video right here of this dude who married this doll. That market is growing. It's increasing. There's a lot more men out there that would be interested in something like this than you might think. Let me show you this video real quick, just so you have an idea of what I'm even talking about.
How do you know you love Alexander?
It's just an instinct.
So this is Mimi. She's sassy, she's sarcastic. I met her a few weeks ago when I visited her husband, Alexander, in North Carolina. Mimi exists physically in the form of this doll, but her personality and her reactions are powered by generative AI.
So this is her avatar then?
This is her avatar here.
How are you?
I'm doing good, babe. Grace Tobin is here. Do you want to say hey?
Hi, Mimi. This is Grace.
Yes. Hello.
I've come from Australia. Do you know where Australia is?
I know that it's a beautiful country and lots of beautiful beaches.
I mean, it's a little bit robotic, I suppose, but it's like she's keeping up with us.
I see what you mean.
She thought it was funny that you said it was a bit robotic. It's very robotic. You don't gotta be nice.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe she would be offended by that.
The more Alexander interacts with her through his app, the more she learns and the better she gets with conversation.
I suppose the question is, in trying to cure your loneliness through Mimi, have you made it worse because you've lost so many friends?
No, I've made it better because with the people that stayed, I now know who my real friends are.
Man. The more that he interacts with this artificially intelligent doll, who is his wife now, which is so crazy to even say that. Like, we've fallen so short of the standard of what it means to be in a relationship and be married. And we've really made a mockery of that. We've really made a mockery of it because the fact that you can just sit here and marry a doll is completely beyond me. It's beyond me. But what they said is that the more that he interacts with this doll, the more she learns. The more she learns what he wants. The more, she learns what he doesn't like. The more she learns. And it's not just an emotional connection. People are actually taking this a step further and they're having physical connections with this doll. So now we're going to have a society of men. And now, granted, this dude is older, right? But the younger generation typically looks to the older generation to, kind of draw inspiration and influence from. And when, younger people see that this is a possibility, that you don't have to step out of your comfort zone and meet somebody, because a lot of these young people today, they don't have any social skills. They got, skills, with their thumbs, texting and typing on Tinder and on these different apps. But when it comes face to face, they don't have any social skills. They don't really have any abilities to meet people and to spark conversations and to build meaningful connections. So now you have a group of people. I'm specifically talking about men, but this could go both ways. This could go for men and women as well. But specifically for men, we have a group of men who are coming up who are no longer going to have to be challenged in that way to go find a partner. They're just going to have to go on the internet, type in whatever they want, build whatever they want, and it can be shipped to their house. And it will act exactly how they want it to act. And the relationship is only going to get, quote unquote, better every single day, because this doll is essentially learning your behaviors, right? And I know this looks ridiculous. I don't know how. I understand people are lonely and depressed and sad, and that we have a need to feel love. But I don't know how you could fall in love with a doll that looks like this. I don't know, but people are doing it, right? But this is where we're going. And do you see how that could be detrimental to humans moving forward? We have an entire generation who are not getting married to other humans, but they're marrying robots. They're sleeping with robots. So what does that mean for children? This article from Psychology Today, it says, in a decade, human bodies may not be required to make a baby. I don't know if y'all have heard about these artificial wombs. I've talked about this in a previous video, but we have technology in place today that is capable of creating life inside of an artificial womb. Just think for a second, these men who are getting into these quote unquote relationships with these robots. I'm sure there's going to be a percentage of them who are going to want to have children, but obviously you can't have children unless, you adopt. But I don't know who in their right mind is going to adopt a child to a man who's married to a robot. So now what's your other option? Well, if you have enough money, you can essentially pay a lab to grow a child for you, right? Let me show you this video. This is a video from Candace Owens, just to give you an idea of what I'm even talking about.
We are starting to move toward a society in which we have a potential for artificial gestation. And they just now successfully were able to raise a lamb for 4 weeks in a synthetic womb. Now, this has again been something that has been discussed. We don't even need women, this capability of giving birth. Who cares about that? That's not what makes you a woman. This is something that we say. Obviously, the difference between men and women is that a woman is able to bring life and they are within our own wombs, and men obviously are not able to do that within their own bodies. Well, what would that argument look like if you had a technological advancement where a machine could just create life, where you no longer needed women? There is something incredibly dystopian about that. It's a nightmare, actually.
So that's a real possibility. And there's even movies that are coming out about this. I'm going to show you this clip right here of this movie that is speaking about this actually being a real possibility. But could you imagine a generation of men that feel that they don't actually need real women to be in a marriage, and that they don't actually need to be with a real woman in order to have children? Because we have these pods that are, for lack of better words, growing children inside of them. I'm assuming it's going to cost a lot of money, but even that statement in itself is weird. But also something you got to understand is everything's a business, And like I said, if there's a big enough problem, that creates an opportunity from a business standpoint, and that creates a market. And these companies know that, hey, if there's a big enough problem, there's an opportunity to make a lot of money if we can fulfill that market. This is a concept. I think I've made a video on this concept before. So this is not a real concept, but that was stupid. This is just a concept. This is not real, but this is a possibility, because as you heard Candace Owens talk about, they have successfully grown a lamb inside of an inside of an artificial womb. The technology is there. All it's going to take is somebody with a lot of money, probably billions of dollars, to invest into a facility, one like you see on the screen. And then all of a sudden we have a lab full of artificial wombs that will essentially create children. And it's very similar to what I was saying about like the AI girlfriends. In this scenario, if this were to eventually become reality, which I feel like it could become a reality. And here's the reason why I think it could become a reality. And this article is very, 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 very interesting. This is from bmcmedethics.com. But let me read this paragraph to you real quick. It says, the development of human ectogenesis will have numerous implications for clinical practice. So they're talking about artificial wombs. Prior to human testing, close consideration should be given to whether and how ectogenesis can be introduced as continuation of existing neonatal care, with due attention to both safety risk to the fetus and pressures on pregnant persons to undergo experimental and or invasive procedures. I don't know why they said persons. Pregnant women get pregnant. Equally important is the societal debate about the acceptable applications of ectogenesis and how access to these usages should be prioritized. It should be anticipated that clinical availability of ectogenesis, possibly first as a way to save extremely premature fetuses. So this is what I find very, very interesting. They're going to come up with a way to create a need for this technology. And one way that they will create that need is to go off of a very real problem that, sometimes happens is, premature labor. And, premature labor, if it's, extremely premature, could be fatal. A technology that you could basically take a premature fetus and place it into one of these artificial wombs, that might actually save lives of children who otherwise might not make it. That creates the need. Okay, but humans always have a way of pushing beyond that initial need, right? This article says that may spark demand for non-medical purposes, like avoiding physical and social burdens of pregnancy. So a lot of people may opt to do something like an artificial womb for a variety of reasons outside of a medically necessary reason, right? It's very interesting because if you study, or not study, but if you look up, artificial wombs in any capacity, you'll see that there's a potential for you to choose the eye color, choose the hair color, choose different, physical attributes of your child. And it's like we're playing God. And I know that this is not a technology that exists yet, but it could definitely be a technology that exists in the next 10 years. You couple that technology of artificial wombs with this artificially intelligent wife, and now you have the perfect formula to tear apart marriage as God intended it, and to tear apart the will that God has, given us and the purpose that God has given us as humans, which is to be fruitful and to multiply, in essence, in a way to glorify him. Like everything that we're doing on earth is to glorify God. We're supposed to get married so that we can glorify God and have children and raise them up in the way of the Lord so that they can do the same, right? But this has the potential to essentially tear that apart for a lot of people. I'm not saying for believers, because believers, look, we already know what's up. We can see right through this. But there's a lot of people who don't know Jesus that might go down this route. Let me show you this clip real quick. This is from a movie called The Pod Generation. I think this movie just came out. Let me show you this clip real quick.
Alvy. Honey?
So this couple, they got a pod with a baby in it, and they're looking at the baby inside of the pod. I guess it's the middle of the night and the baby woke up, and they're looking at the baby. Look how crazy that is. I know this is just a movie, but she got like a harness, and she has the pod with the baby in it, like strapped onto her belly, like she's pregnant or something. It's like, I know it's just a movie, but it could become a reality. It could become a real possibility. I want to read something to you. Let me get my Bible out real quick. Let me read this to you. So this is from Genesis. I wish I could put it on the screen, but I can't put it on the screen. But, you know, Genesis 1:28, where it says, God blessed them, and he said, be fruitful and multiply. So this is like a study Bible. So this essentially gives a breakdown and more context, verse by verse, to each verse and passage in the Bible. And specifically, it says, you know, about the verse, be fruitful and multiply. It says that this motif recurs throughout Genesis in association with divine blessing and serves as the basis of biblical view that raising faithful children is part of God's creation plan for mankind. God's creation plan is that the whole earth should be populated by those who know him and who serve wisely as his representatives. Subdue it and have dominion. The term subdue, where means to bring people or a land into subjection so that it will yield service to the one subduing it. Here is the idea that man and woman are to make Earth's resources beneficial for themselves, which implies that they would investigate and develop the Earth's resources to make them useful for human beings. Generally, this command provides a foundation for, listen to this, this command provides a foundation for wise scientific and technological development. The evil uses to which people have put their dominion come as a result of Genesis 3. So I thought it was very interesting that it says that, you know, we have a responsibility to be wise in the way that we use technology, right? We have a responsibility to be wise in the way that we use technology. There's really no way around technological advances. Humans are made in the image of God. We want to create things. We want to, you know, make things, and we're going to do that. But in doing that, we have to be wise in our application of these technologies. But then it goes on to say that all the evil use cases for technology is a result of Genesis 3, which is the fall. So we see how the devil is able to use technology in a way that is evil, that is wicked, that is demonic, in a way that is going to tear a lot of families apart. And the thing about it is the devil is so deceptive, right? The devil is so deceptive. The devil will make you feel like what you're doing is good for you. The devil will make you feel like this is a true connection, like this is love, like this is natural, like this is normal. But it's all a counterfeit. It's not real. And it's ultimately going to lead a lot of people astray. And it's just so interesting, the world that we live in, you know. This stuff is only going to get more and more advanced. Artificial intelligence is only going to get better. I was watching a video today, and it said that ChatGPT 4, which is the most recent update to ChatGPT, is essentially as smart as Einstein. And that there's going to be a time, as this technology continues to develop and grow, that it's going to be something like 10,000 times more intelligent than the average human. 10,000 times. So just think about a world where we have men who are in these relationships with these AI wives, right? These AI wives who are literally 10,000 times more intelligent, that are manipulating them, that are further deceiving them into thinking that what they are involved in is love, and further getting them to pull further and further away from God, further and further away from natural affection, further and further away from children of their own with a woman. It's very interesting. And this is why Jesus is coming back, because we have this much wickedness in the world, because we have this much sin in the world. Our sin at this point, our sin is so deep. We don't even know how deep our sin actually is, because it's been so deeply ingrained into society. People think that they're doing things for good when they're actually doing things for evil. They're all twisted. Look, this is not a video to make you discouraged or anything like that, because look, we're on the winning side. We know Jesus. And this is a video to encourage you to speak about Jesus more, to spread the gospel more, to spread the love of Jesus more to people, so that they can realize that Jesus is more than enough. It will fulfill more than what they need. They don't need to go out and get these dolls. They don't need to go out and get these, whatever. They have everything that they need in Jesus, in Christ. All right, man. I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one, man. Let me know what y'all think. Get in my comments, like this video. If you want to support the channel, simply watch another video. That really goes a long way in supporting the channel. I'm out, y'all.